Hello, magical soul, and welcome to the Awake Revolution podcast. I'm Marie Fleming Grant, and in this podcast, I'm going to be sharing insights, perspectives, stories, and tips, guiding you to drop the baggage, wake up the real you, and revolutionize it all: how you think, how you feel, and how you create, so that you can be all of who you came here to be.
Hello, how are you? And welcome back to the podcast. And in today's episode, I am excited to share this, we'll call it a message, a transmission, whatever you want to call it, to remind you and to confirm, even if you need to, about which timeline we are actually on, because there is so much going on out there in the world. There is, even as I'm recording this, we are October 2024, and even in the last week, there has been crazy weather events around the world. You know, so much has been happening. And as I've been scrolling through social media, just seeing a lot of maybe people going into fear, going into doubt, feeling that this world is headed for a catastrophe and all of this. And I just feel like sharing some things that I've come across myself in regression sessions, timeline exploration, and through my own channeling. So, purpose of this episode is to really lay out what it is that we're doing, either as a reminder to you or a confirmation, or just letting you know if you perhaps didn't know, and to really just bring some clarity to this, and to hopefully by the end of the episode, you will be feeling more empowered, more determined, more trusting of this timeline that we are on, because spoiler alert, we are absolutely on a golden timeline. We are absolutely on a golden timeline, and, you know, despite appearances. So let me just backtrack for a moment, and I'm going to just go into what I really want to share with you. So, as we've been seeing, so, you know, we just have to look out into the world, scroll through social media. We can see, can't we, that there's so much unfolding. We can see that there are some very unpleasant things happening. And throughout my channeling for the past 3 years, my team, Arcturians and the angelic realm, they've always been very clear, as I channel through, that we are going to experience a lot of challenge. There will be chaos on the planet. There will be lots of things that will be very messy and will require us to navigate through them. So I've never channeled the message that says everything is wonderful and golden, and we're just going to close our eyes and click our heels together and create a wonderful heaven on earth. And sometimes I wish I could channel that through, but it's never been what I've channeled through. It's never what I feel and know from my own mission. And I know that some of you will also feel this for yourselves. But at the same time, I am definitely not one to also channel the other side, that it's doom and gloom, and we need to wait and watch and be in fear, and we need to stockpile things and get really stressed about the idea that certain systems are going to collapse. And, you know, there's so much fear being stoked in these areas. I used to, when I was in the phase of tuning into certain videos and messages, I used to see a lot of that. These days, I'm very, very selective. I rarely watch anything from anyone else, purely because I channel my own information, and I just like to keep my own channel clear. But there's a whole sort of mixture. So you either have these messages perhaps that are saying everything's wonderful, you know, all is brilliant the way it is, and that doesn't resonate, or you've got these fear-mongering messages that also don't resonate. So where we want to share with you, and I say we as in not not a pronoun thing, it's more more to do with me and my team, um, where we, and not against pronouns or anything of that nature, just I'm going to sidetrack for a minute just because it's come up. It's more to do with the agenda behind all of that. So I don't really care what anyone chooses to call themselves. It's just the agenda behind that, which is very sinister, which is a whole other episode. So anyway, side note. So we, as in me and my team, what we want to share with you is through through different timelines, let's say, we have had lots of experiences on this earth, uh, moving through various parts of history. So you may have heard me talk about this before. When we understand that past, present, future isn't linear, it's all happening all at once, this will be easier to understand. So if a lot of you listening, you will have seen various things on my YouTube channel where I'm showing more and more now sessions from SCHH clearing clips where we do clearing of the energetics, the entities and energies and attachments. We're also doing the timeline exploration. And the reason that people can tap into alternate timelines, what we would know as past lives, we often call them past lives or alternate realities. It's because it's happening all at once. So we're just tapping into a different frequency so that part of ourselves can experience another part of ourselves on a different frequency. So it's all happening all at once. And a lot of the messages, really what I want to share with you today, a lot of the messages that have come through on other timelines have been giving us information that there are other realities where Earth has moved through this period, but there have been a lot more losses. There's been a lot more, let's say, devastation to the planet. So on one timeline where I tapped into it myself, I was sharing from that timeline that over there we'd gone through all of this period on humanity. So this is a lot further down the timeline in the future on this timeline. And I was sharing on that one where it was something like there was a lot of human loss, a lot of devastation on the planet. It wasn't enough to wipe out the humans because of course there were still humans there, but they were trying to make sense of what happened, and they referred to it on that timeline as the Great Deception. It was a period of the Great Deception. There was so much deception occurring on the planet. Majority of humans on that timeline bought into it. And they were manipulated. They were deceived. There were various things, substances, technologies, and all sorts of things given to the humans where the humans believed that it was for their own good. Now, this is familiar, right? Because we have that echo of that energy on this timeline. The difference on this timeline, and I've been told this through many, many different regressions now and channelings, is that this is referred to as not the timeline of the Great Deception, even though we've seen the deception already, haven't we? This is the golden timeline, because on this timeline, there are more of us because we've had experiences on other timelines. We know how this goes. We understand, what happens. We've chosen to incarnate onto this timeline. So this includes you, my friend, listening to this, whether we've met or not. You are listening to this. You are tuned into this frequency. So you and I have chosen to be on this timeline so that we can be those, walking amongst humanity where we are aware and we see things. We see things ahead of the masses. So this is why my message to people is always, please don't get frustrated with everyone around you for not seeing, because the whole point that you came into this timeline was so that you could walk the path ahead. You could be amongst the first to really see through the bullshit, to really see through the agendas and what is rolling out in every industry and sector on the planet right now. So this is our purpose. This is why we came. And the beautiful news that I keep getting across timelines, my own ones, other people's regressions, my own channeling as well, is that this timeline is what they refer to as the golden timeline. It doesn't mean we're not going to have challenges, because hello, we had 2020, 21, 22 were all crazy years for obvious reasons. We're still going to have the challenges. We're still going to have the echoes of things that are coming in. We still have a lot of dark energy on this planet. The difference is on this timeline, this beautiful timeline that we're on, is that there's so many of us that are here to anchor in this light. So the difference is that there are a lot more people present on this planet in this timeline that are standing up to agendas. They are having none of it Or maybe they dabbled in a little bit and then they've decided they're not going to now. So the amount of people, the amount of souls, spirits, higher selves, however you want to refer to it as, the amount of conscious ones here on the planet is so much bigger than on other timelines. So this is what we mean when we say we're on the golden timeline, because even though we're still experiencing loss, people are exiting the planet, people will continue to exit the planet. We don't sugarcoat that because that's just part of what's happening. We're seeing it more and more. This will continue, and in other ways as well. But there are more of us who are attuned into the higher frequency. There's more of us existing on this timeline. So as a result, the loss that we will experience will be a lot less, even though it will be significant. And I often, I've been told by my team that, there'll be a time ahead, often many years from now, where we'll start to see those gaps. We'll start to see generation gaps. We'll start to see the impact, of people being maybe more infertile, not, we're not reproducing at the levels that we were, things like that. We'll see gaps. We'll have a hit to the population. We already know this, but the extent of this loss is nowhere near what it could have been, what it is on other timelines. Another part of, you know, differences I've seen as well. I think I did a regression with somebody. I say regression. It's not really the right word anymore because we're going beyond past lives, but I'll say timeline exploration. So I did a timeline exploration with somebody, I think it was last month. I've done quite a few now. I'm losing track, but I think it was last month. And these will be coming onto my YouTube channel. But somebody somewhere shared that they were recalling this another alternate timeline where, when I'm being careful of how I say things because depending on where I share this, there's still a lot of censorship, but certain substances that were offered and mandated in certain places in 2020, 21 and beyond. On other timelines, there was a lot more consequences of that. So for example, there was an experience someone had on an exploration where they were recalling that them and their families were sort of herded into what looked like big camps and places to be held because they said no to these offerings, these substances offerings. And there were executions happening, and it was very, yeah, like typical things you'd see in a very dystopian movie, right? So we know this is why we have some of the remnants. And it's interesting because a lot of people went into fear about that very thing. I remember a lot of fear around, oh my goodness, if we say no to this, what if we're carted away? What if we're taken off into camps? Do you remember that talk? You probably do. There was a lot on social media. And the way I see it now, I see it as, oh, that's interesting. I think that some of us, or probably quite a few of us, had that experience on other timelines. So there was a bit of residual fear. There was almost a memory, an echo of that into this timeline. So it didn't feel very good to see, but notice that that wasn't what actually played out. There were different things that played out. So there are remnants and there are echoes, but a lot of us had experiences on these other timelines where, it was a lot more devastating. And we wanted to assist the current timeline and we wanted to assist humanity to have a better outcome. So this is what a lot of us are doing on this timeline. And I feel very connected to that. I feel rock solid conviction in this. So the reason I'm sharing that with you is not to convince or persuade, because of course, if you don't feel that, that is absolutely fine. But it's really to hold that steady so that if you do want to tap into that energy, it's like I'm holding it here, we're holding it here, and you can tap into that if you want to, if you feel that resonance. Because I tell you, one thing I am confident, absolute rock solid, soul level knowing, I have it in my body, I have it in every cell of my being, is that we are here to create wonderful things for humanity. And we are here to take a stand. We are here to navigate challenges, but the outcome of what we're doing is so beautiful, is so powerful. I fully understand why many beings outside of the Earth plane as well, they call this the golden timeline. So I really wanted to share that with you in today's episode because sometimes we just might need a reminder. It might be the first time you're hearing this, in which case your cells are dancing. You might be feeling the excitement of this. You might be feeling the remembrance. For some of you who already knew this, and maybe you forgot because the world is just bombarding you at the moment with all this doom and gloom, this is just a reminder. This is just a confirmation. This is an activation from my soul to yours. It's to help you snap back into your mission, snap back into your remembrance. Remember that you've trained many, many, many lifetimes, timelines to assist on this one. If you are listening to these words right now, you are not an inexperienced one. You are not someone who has not fought in many different battles. You have a very high level of consciousness. You are advanced. It's not being better than anyone. It's just, acknowledging that there is an advanced, more experienced, energy that you have, and that's okay. It's just okay to acknowledge that you are here for very specific reasons. And even if, you might look at yourself and think, well, what am I doing for humanity? I'm not healing or creating podcasts or live streaming or whatever else, or, whatever the image you have, you are here and you are present. And what you are doing, irrespective of your work in the world, you're actually holding the light. You're holding this higher frequency light in your body and you're anchoring this light in and you're making it possible for this golden timeline to play out. So this is why you are incredibly powerful. It doesn't matter if you're tired today or if you're having an off day or you feel like you've maybe not really moved forwards on your mission. Maybe you've got some things you've done, you're supposed to do and you haven't done them yet. Know that all of that is great. You can get to it. But just by your existence here, we thank you. We thank you for being here because you are holding the light on this beautiful golden timeline. And there is nothing more powerful. And I say beautiful, even though my heart can still break with, some of the things, some of the sufferings that roll out on the planet. I felt last week when all of these massive hurricanes and things were hitting, I had this moment where I had this really cozy evening going. I had candles lit. My husband, best friend, partner and everything was in the other room doing his thing. I was having this beautiful, like, hot, nice bath that I was relaxing into. Dinner was cooking and I suddenly felt so wonderful. And then it hit me, this feeling of, oh my God, there are people tonight that are without electricity. Their homes have been ruined and all of these things. And I really felt it in my heart. I really did. So when I say this timeline is beautiful, I'm not saying we're diminishing any of the human experience because believe me, I feel every bit in my body. Sometimes I just wake up and I can feel the grief. I feel the sadness. So I do a lot of work with myself around that so I can hold all the energies for the collective. But I'll still sit here with all of that and say we are on this beautiful golden timeline because my guides, my team have often shared this. In order to get to something beautiful, we've got to dismantle and see a lot of mess and chaos because we can't transition. They always show this analogy of if you're building a beautiful sacred space on this beautiful land, you've got to pull down that horrible old dusty cobweb filled building. You have to get rid of that. So you have to get the wrecking ball in, smash it all up. Bits go everywhere. It looks like a disaster. It looks really chaotic. But the reason that's important is because certain things are being dismantled. So as they're being dismantled, we're going to see lots of mess. Sometimes we're going to, cut ourselves on that glass. It's going to be painful, but it's necessary. And then in the mess, you're going to have those energies that try and manipulate and take advantage. So we're going to see during the chaos these solutions, right? Oh, tap into this system, digital currency or whatever. Tap into this way of eating or this way of putting microchips into your body and being a superhuman or whatever it is, right? You'll always see that coming through the rubble. But what we're here for is to say no to that stuff, respect those people who are choosing that. There will always be those people who choose that, but to remember that we're here to create the brand new. So we have to pull the systems down in order to create what we actually came here to create. So it's such an important thing. I remind myself of this as I see certain things unfolding in the world. And that's why I'd say not 100%, but I'd say a good 95% of the time I am rock solid. I am rock solid because I know this, I remember this. So I want to share that with you. And then the 5% that I can get a bit wobbly sometimes myself, I can get very into the human as well and go, oh my God, this is awful. And then I remember. So it doesn't take me long to get back to mission, get back to remembering and to knowing that there is magnificent energy here on the planet. We are doing it. We have anchored in so much light. It's inevitable. This ascension is happening. The earth is ascending, whether these dark energies like it or not. They're just kicking up a fuss and screaming and kicking out loud because they know that it's their last chance. It's inevitable. It's just the question is how we're going to navigate. There's lots of different ways humanity can navigate. So we're still co-creating that. So it's important that we focus on what we want to create, but it's a done deal. It is a done deal. This timeline is going into a certain direction and there's nothing that can stop it. So absolutely, yes, we are on a golden timeline. Breathe that in if you need to. Listen to this again anytime if you just need that reminder. But yes, prepare yourself for, being as strong as you can, because even though we're on a golden timeline, we're going to need our fortitude. We're going to need our resilience. We're going to need our, real soul strength. And we need to be doing all that we can to really let go of heavy baggage, in our energy field. This is why I'm devoting my work now to helping people clear their systems. I'm helping channeling activations, helping people on their mission, helping people on their path in many different ways. So if you want to check out any ways that I can assist you, I shall leave the link in the description. So if you're on Spotify, check out the description. You'll find the link. If you're listening on YouTube, just go into the video description and the links will be there. And if you can't find anything, just head to theawakerevolution.com and you can find everything of mine on there. So I send you so much love. I thank you for tuning into this message, this transmission. I thank you for being here. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And I will be sharing more clips now, on my YouTube channel where you can watch clearings happening, know that they're not frightening, know that they're actually very beautiful and powerful. You can see examples of, timeline explorations. I've got some juicy ones coming up. I'll continue to share my own ones because I'm having very, very regular hypnosis myself because it's helping my frequency, helping me share messages. So there's lots of good things to come. So have a lovely rest of your day or evening whenever you're watching this. Take good care of yourself, and I'll speak to you very, very soon in the next episode.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it. Just to let you know, if you wish to reach out anytime to me with any questions or comments or feedback, I would love to hear. So have a look in the description of this episode and you'll find all the links to any of my groups, my website, my other social media platforms. So feel free to get in touch. Thank you so much again, and I will talk to you very, very soon.